Welcome to the Pro Cheerleading Podcast. This is the only podcast that gives you a raw and unfiltered perspective of what it's really like to be a professional cheerleader. Whether you're currently on a pro team, an alumni, or really curious about what it takes to become a pro cheerleader, the Pro Cheerleading Podcast gives you all the inside scoop and hot topics in the pro cheerleading industry and in-depth interviews of current and former cheerleaders. I'm your host, Mhkeeba. Join me every Wednesday as I reveal the truth behind the Poms. Sierra!
Hi.
Hi, how are you?
Good. How are you? Good to see you.
Good. Thank you so much for setting this up so quickly. When I saw the date pop up, I was like, yes.
I know, I gotta get this done.
Yes, indeed. I'm so excited to chat with you. I know we had I think this was when you were still cheering, that we'd reached out and talked about potentially doing an episode about switching teams and whatnot, but I'm so glad I finally get to meet you. Welcome to the Pro Cheerleading Podcast. How's your day been? Pretty good.
Good. Yeah, today was busy, so I was like, looking forward to this the whole day. So I'm happy to be here.
Well, thank you for making time. So there's just so much that I want to get into.
Yeah, let's just go for it.
Let's go. Awesome. So everybody, I have Sierra Martinez here. She is a former, let's just say, Oakland Raiderette, because this was in the time that they were in Oakland. And you also danced for the Miami Dolphins cheerleaders. Mm-hmm. And now you have this fabulous business that I cannot wait to get more into. Mohita Mami. I don't want to sound like I have an accent here because I totally don't. How do you say it? Let me hear how you.
Yeah, Mohita Mami.
See, I thought I would be doing too much if I said Mohita, trying to do the extras.
No, you got it, Mohita.
I love it. But we're going to get into your business. I'm obsessed with your Instagram, just all of your styles with your swimsuits and traveling. So we'll get to that. But welcome to the show again. And I'd love to get started with just hearing about your experience. So you're originally from the Bay Area, is that right?
Well, I'm from Sacramento, so it depends. Okay. Some people consider that the Bay Area. It's like Northern California. But when you're there, they don't really include it. So.
Oh, interesting. I didn't know there was a little bit of, not segregation, what's the word I'm looking for? I didn't know they were so particular about the little nooks in Northern California.
They really are. Like when you're actually there, it's not really considered a part of that Bay Area because we're about an hour out.
Oh, okay. Well, I guess that makes some sense. But so tell us how you approached becoming an NFL cheerleader and how that process went for you. And when we'll get into transitioning and moving to the opposite coast. But let's hear about your experience with the Raiderettes first.
Yeah, so I was actually dancing at a community college back home. And I was dancing on the team, and I had a teammate who was interested in doing NBA. She did the Sacramento Kings audition, and she made it really, really far. Like, I think she made it all the way to the finals, and then she got cut, and she was very determined after that to train and make it again. So we were on the team together and we were dancing, and she's like, hey, I'm training for the next audition and I want to go to basically a mock audition. It was a real audition, but she was using it kind of just for training purposes. Yeah. Mm-hmm. So she's like, yeah, would you be down to come to Oakland with me and audition, but just for fun? And I'm like, yeah, that sounds fun. So literally I registered with her for prelims, and it was crazy because I was just there for support, for her. And I ended up making it to finals and she didn't. And we were both just kind of shocked. We were just like, what just happened? And she's like, you have to do it. Oh my gosh, you have to do it. And I was like, well, I was just here for you, kind of helping you get ready and just, so you're not here by yourself, because we did have to drive an hour and a half to do the audition. And she's like, well, I think you should just see what happens. And she's like, this might be great. So I was like, okay. So literally that's how I ended up making the team. And I came back for finals. This was my first time. So I never had auditioned before for any pro team. I never even thought I wanted to, because that wasn't something that I just didn't think about that. So literally I made the team. And it was crazy because it was my first, it was just so out of the blue. It was my first time. I'm like, oh, now a freshman cheerleader. Like, how did this happen? And I was like shocked. Like, I was into pageants back then. So I was like super busy with pageantry. And I was more so focused on the pageant world. I wanted to go all the way with pageants. And being an NFL cheerleader just kind of changed my path. I ended up loving it like so much. And that's how I got started. So I did 2 years. Yeah, I did 2 years with them, 2 consecutive years. And it was like the best time. Like, I met the girls that I feel like would be in my life for a long time. Like, girls that would be in my wedding, they would be like aunties to my kids. Like, it was the best experience. We had such a close knit group with that team. Everyone was so close. We even had like a carpool group, which, I mean, 6 of us drove all the way from Sacramento to Oakland every week. So we just became so close, like sisters. It was crazy.
Oh my gosh, we're spending that much time together for sure.
Yeah.
So I have to ask, because this was something that you weren't really anticipating. We know, like, once you make the team, it's like crash course, welcome to the world of crazy, with the commitment and, like you said, all the driving. So how did you manage to adjust to that, especially so quickly when you weren't really anticipating making the team?
Yeah, I would say the vets, there was like a handful of vets who were on the team for about 4 years or 3 years that were commuting from Sacramento. So they just like threw me in a carpool and they're like, all right, this is our schedule. Like, we get to the, carpool this time. And in the carpool, I would watch how they would prepare themselves. Some girls were tired from work, so they take naps. Some girls went over choreography in their head in the car. Some girls, finished their hair and makeup. So I would basically just be a sponge and like learn from my vets and see like all what they're doing. We would get to practice and I would just kind of like see, like you basically learn so fast because you're watching on kind of what the expectation is. And so I knew every day I had to know the choreography. I had to, find time, even though I worked when I went to school. I had to find time. So I remember sneaking in the bathroom, going over choreo, doing my makeup in between like things that I was doing throughout the day. Like, okay, I'm gonna put my lashes on now. Okay, now I'm gonna do the rest of my face. So it was like you literally just learn to balance out your life and squeeze it in. And it's hard. Like, any girl who commutes, I understand the pain because we're spending 3.5 hours at practice or 3 hours at practice, and then we're spending 3 hours in a car. And then we have to go home and sleep and wake up and do it the next day. And a lot of us obviously have other things going on. So it's hard, but you just use the strength of your sisters to kind of help guide you. And you'll get through it. With them, you'll get through it.
That's such a good point. And I love the idea of carpooling, because I know with girls that were on our team that would be driving from like Olympia, like 2 hours away. And so I'm thinking with these late practices, when you're exhausted because you've just been dancing your butt off, you're tired, Lord knows what else you did for the day with work or what have you. And just being on the road for long periods of time when you're tired is, it could be a little unsafe. So I like the idea of people carpooling together and at least having each other's back, because those are road trips, essentially, kind of. No, well, that's great. So tell me about the move to Miami. Was this something that was geared towards making the team as a Miami Dolphins cheerleader, or was there something else that was drawing you to the Miami area?
So definitely drawn to the area. Since I never saw myself in that pro area, I never really had like a dream team. I know it's different when you're looking for, you're scouting, for a team, you're seeing what style may fit you. I never had that like opportunity since I didn't really know that this is something I was going to be doing. So once I became a Raiderette, I feel like I really embodied their style and just the era of the Oakland Raiders. Like, I loved every second of it. As everyone knows, they transferred to Vegas, so they have moved. At the end of my season, my second season, there was a lot of things going on in the air where they didn't know if they were going to be back. We actually didn't have a contract with the stadium for the following year. So a lot of us didn't really know if we were going to have, jobs or what was going to happen. Like, if the new stadium was going to be ready, we didn't know. So at the end of the year, I just remember feeling like this feeling of, I'm not sure. And I don't like things like that. Like, I don't like feeling like I don't have a plan or I don't know, what's going to happen. And our coach was very open to us about it. She was honest and she said, look, you guys, I don't even know. I can't give you guys answers. All I can do is tell you as soon as I know, I will let you guys know. So that was how we ended it in our season. And I remember thinking like, all right, Sierra, you have to figure out what's best for you. And what do you want? Like, what do you want in life? Like, what's happening in your life right now? And, you know, what's your next step? And so I had a really good job that I loved. I had a really good everything. Like, I had a good apartment. My teammates were awesome. My team was great. But I felt like I wasn't pushing myself enough. And that's what kind of drawn me to making the decision to move. Because I said, okay, listen, even if the team comes back, they only have maybe one season left here. And then I would literally have to move to Vegas. So I'm going to be having to move anyway. So I asked myself literally, like, where do you want to go? And I was thinking, well, what do you want to do? And I've always wanted to be in design somehow. When I was younger, I used to draw swimsuits, gowns, which is kind of how I ended up in pageants, because I would draw like really extravagant gowns. Like even when I watched like Disney princesses, I would draw and copy their gowns. So I loved design, but I never went to school for design, and I never really tapped into that. And so I was like, well,
never.
So I was like, I always wanted to like kind of fulfill that little dream. Like, you know, there's always these things that you want to do, and you never have like the opportunity to do it. And you're like, okay, I got to do it finally. So it's like, it was like a hidden secret in me that I was like, I got to get this out or do something about this. So at the end of the season, I was looking into teams that were in places where I felt like a business like that would thrive. And the only two places I could think of were like LA, Miami, New York, like 1, 2, 3, like LA, Miami, New York. I knew New York, I couldn't do it. It's too cold. Like, I just can't. It's too cold. Yeah. Like, there's no way around it. I was just like, that's out. So I scratched it off immediately. And I started looking into LA. LA is very close. Sacramento, it's like a 5-6 hour drive. So I'm like, that's doable. And then Miami is across the country. So it was like, okay, which one? So actually, I decided, like, I wrote down, it sounds crazy, but I wrote down pros and cons. What do you like in your life? What do you don't like in your life? I literally put down everything I liked in my life, and I was like, how am I going to get this in a different place? I still want to cheer. I still want to work out of school and teach with the kids. I still want to do this. I still want to do that. And I want to start my business. So I wrote down everything I wanted, and I looked in those cities, those 2 cities, because those are the cities that I was drawn to. I was going to try out for an LA team and the Dolphins. The LA team that I was looking at was the Chargers. And the reason why I was looking at the Chargers is because I went to a Charger game in person that year, and I loved it. Like, I loved the crowd. I was in the crowd, but I just loved the crowd. I went by myself, too. That's crazy. Another story. I went by myself. And so that was a super fun experience. And I saw the girls, and I saw the coaches, and I just loved everything about the game. So I was like, I'm going to try that team. And so I went to register, and their audition was in May that year, and the Miami Dolphins was in April. So I was more drawn to the Charger girls, actually. But Jess, she was a Pro Bowl cheerleader, I think, in 2019. Yeah. Jess, she was like one of the only girls I knew from Dolphins, and I kind of like told her, like, yeah, I registered for, you know, auditions. And she's like, what? Like, oh my God. Like, once she found out, she's like, really? You have to do it? And like, after kind of I told her, she was like getting me kind of excited for it. And I was like, really? She's like, you got to do it. Like, oh my God, you have to. And I'm like, okay. So I went to Miami for a cruise. It was like a vacation, a cruise. And it happened to fall on the same dates of auditions for Dolphins. So that was in April. And I was like, okay, I'm going to go on my cruise and have a great time. I'm going to do this audition. If I make it, okay, I don't really know, but I'm kind of going to practice or like use this to kind of see, and then go back home next month and try to really make the, you know, the LA team. That didn't happen. I get there, I audition for prelims, and it's so crazy because like all the coaches love me, like all the judges, they loved it. It was such an overwhelming feeling of like, they really liked my performance. They really liked my personality. And I never felt like that at an audition before, like not even with the Raiders. Like they were coming up to me, like it was just so overwhelming. And I was like, oh,
like a homecoming, almost like welcoming you.
I was like, am I supposed to be here? Like, is this am I supposed to be? You know how things just happen? You just have to go with it. That's literally what happened. So I ended up moving there a week later. I packed it. My boss was like, Sierra, are you sure? Because my boss, like, really, she was a principal for a few years and she was kind of training me under her. And we spoke a lot about my goals. And she was just like, you didn't seem like a person that would just get up and do something like this. And like, you seem very planned out. You're very thorough. And she was just kind of like, you sure? And I was just like, man, I got to go for it. Like, it just had this really good feeling about it. Like I said, the coaches were really, excited to have me. And I just kind of shifted my mindset, because sometimes we're so focused on controlling every situation and fighting so hard for our dreams and fighting so hard. And we just have to let sometimes those blessings come to us. Honestly, that's what Miami felt like. It felt like I was supposed to go there, and everything happened for a reason. So I was like, I'm moving to Miami. A week later, I gave my boss a week notice, not even a traditional.
Was she crushed?
She was hurt. She loves me so much. She's always like, if you ever come back home, you have a job with me. She had a daughter my age, and she took me under her wing a lot. Like, she really mentored me really well. So she was saying, like, she wanted to support me in my decision, and she saw a lot of her daughter in me. So she's like, I would definitely tell my daughter to do it. So do it. So I did it. And I was like, thank you so much. So I finished my week. I cried. My kids, I was teaching at a school, so my kids cried. We all cried together. I felt like I had no time to like prep myself for a big across the country move. I packed up my car, my small, like, compact 4-door car, put whatever I could. And actually, when you ship your car, they don't allow you to like fill it up. There's like there's like rules. So I only could put what fit in the trunk, literally just the trunk. That's all I had. I was like, oh my God, that's all. I had the trunk, and that's it. Shipped the car and stayed with a friend that was down here in Miami for the first week and a half. And ever since then, I was like on my own. A lot of the girls from the team hosted me for the first couple months. Like, first, I think for Dolphins, for training camp, you don't actually make the team until the regular season starts.
So even preseason?
Nope. Preseason, you're not
that
officially.
Training camp seems so like lightweight, harder than PCC. Yeah. Like, I just remember reading about, or like we talked about it early on when the podcast started, of just how elaborate and hardcore it seemed. I didn't want dragged into preseason too, though.
Yeah, it was a lot. We have 2 contracts. You get one in the beginning, and then you start your new contract at the beginning of preseason. So you have your like tentative contract for training camp, and then you get you're on the team contract once the regular season starts, and they make their final cuts after the second preseason game.
Wow, pressure's on. I know so early on in my career, but when a couple early years of dancing for the Seahawks, they did make cuts in preseason. They kind of stopped doing that, but I remember that feeling rookie year and even the next year that I was on the team, where you think you're home free, but the preseason games, they would make certain decisions sometimes, and
it's so much pressure.
But that's a lot of pressure.
You're like on the field, and you can get cut still, and it's like scary. Like it's scary.
And at that point, you've like tasted it. You've actually had the experience. You're wearing the uniform. To have it removed from you in that kind of a way would have to be like the worst pain. Oh, I could just kind of feel it in my chest. But I love your story and the theme already of just like how you make these teams, your approach to, like you said, just being not really clutching onto the steering wheel to drive and control what happens in your path. But I'm going to ask you something, because I know that, people have their perception of NFL cheerleaders, and you are balancing, like you said, you had a successful job that you loved and all of these things. Did you get a lot of people who were like, you're doing all this so that you can be an NFL cheerleader in a different market? Like, they don't even pay you. Like, was there a lot of that kind of talk in terms of people who were in your circle, or anybody that really was kind of somewhat trying to understand why you would make a decision based around that?
Yeah. And you know what's crazy about, I just feel like I had the best like timing, because when I made the Dolphins, they went dark. I don't know if you remember this, but they had like a blackout on social media, which is basically like, it was a secret. They did not announce who made it to training camp. Like, they never posted. It wasn't online. we couldn't talk about it until we made the team. So it was not public. It was never publicly from April to the day that they announced the team. We could not post anything about it. So for all those months, I couldn't even post about it. So it really was kind of like a big secret. And the reason why they did that is because that was the year that they rebranded the team. And so they didn't want to announce that they changed the uniform, changed the look, changed the brand, changed the logo until they had their final girls, which was at the end of preseason, which was like beginning of September. So from April to September, it was like nobody knew what I was doing. Everybody was like, where is Sierra? And I'm like, I'm in Miami. They're like, what are you doing? I moved here. For what? Oh, I got a job. What kind of job? A good one. Like, I kind of kept it brief, you know?
Really? Yeah.
And then I kind of told them, like, I'm in Miami trying to figure things out. And I was. Like, I didn't lie, but I couldn't necessarily say I'm in training camp for the Dolphins. Of course, my close family and friends knew, maybe like 2 or 3 friends and my family. But, like, there's friends that I consider myself very close with, and they didn't know what I was truly doing here. A lot of my teammates from Raiderettes didn't know, and they were just like, what? You did this? Like, until the day that they announced the team is the day that I got to finally tell everyone. So a lot of people couldn't really give me that kind of feedback because they didn't know. But also, I did get some questions from some people just basically like who were in that experience with me. I was one of 2 girls who moved from a different state that year, 2 rookies. And they were kind of like, wow, you moved all the way here for this? You know, you really wanted to be on this team and you came from another team, and like, why? And I was just like, I know that there's something bigger coming and I can feel it, and everything that I've been fighting for is kind of happening with almost ease, too much, where I was like, this is weird, you know? So I had to just step in that faith and just like go for it. So if anyone ever did, you know, question me, I would just kind of explain to them, you know, what I'm explaining now is like things happen for a reason and you can't be afraid to let go. Like, yes, I had a really great job and a really great team, but I also have a really great team here, you know, and then a even better job now here. And now I have a business and now I have friends in Miami. Like, it's just adding value. It's adding more value, and not to take away from what I had before, but just adding more value all around.
Wow. I mean, so I know that you had a unique path and this wasn't like mapped out to the T, but I think that's probably like the most beautiful message in all of this is that's not how everything works all the time. And there's also, it can even work more to your benefit to just be open to what comes to you. But do you have any advice for people who, you know, in this virtual space are thinking about how do you prepare to audition for multiple teams, potentially, you know, taking advantage of the virtual auditions landscape, and then kind of pick up your life and go? Like, any words of advice as to how to approach all that? Because I know it does create a lot of stress and a lot of uncertainty and unknowns. What would you say?
Yes. You're going to be uncomfortable for a little bit. It's going to be unfamiliar territory. Whatever change, it's always uncomfortable for a little bit. But one thing that helped me is what I kind of mentioned earlier. I wrote down everything that made me happy. So when I was applying for jobs in Miami, which took a while, the economy was different here. The pay was different. Obviously, like the price of everything is different here versus California. It's a little cheaper. So you got to take everything in consideration and just kind of map out things that make you happy. What it makes you happy on a day-to-day basis. And I said, hey, you know, having my own space, you know, having opportunity to give back to the kids every day. That is what is going to get me through the hard times. So I would put myself in certain situations to try to, you know, accommodate what I would need to balance out the stress, to balance out if I would get a little bit of anxiety, like before practice or, you know, certain things. So if you're planning on or thinking about moving to another state, I would say definitely take the risk, but also create the life that you want. You can create any life based on your actions and how you know, move. So if you want to move to anywhere, Texas, and you love to do certain things, make sure that that place has those opportunities for you as well. And the biggest thing is the people that you're going to miss. Like, you're going to miss having certain family members, certain access to certain people that you're used to. And that's something that's irreplaceable. You won't get those same people or that same experience of, oh, I'm just going to drive to my aunt's house tonight for dinner. But you do have to keep an open mind. Like, you're going to meet so many different people, and you have to keep that, like, adding value. I always say that, like, add value. Like, different people are going to add value to me. So maybe you'll do a Friendsgiving this year. You don't get to go home because you have cheer practice. You know, football is always on Thanksgiving. And that was hard for me, not being home for Thanksgiving or Christmas because of football. But I had my family down here, which is basically like friends that I met and people that are really supportive. So I would say take advantage of the virtual. I would love, like, honestly, if I was still auditioning, I'd audition everywhere. Like, I'd be like, let me see. Like, I just want to see.
Who's gonna take me?
I'm like, send a video. I'm like, let me send my video to everyone and just see what reaction I get. And that's so crazy that everyone has that opportunity. And it's in the comfort of your own home. Like, gosh, I remember, like, just imagine going across the country and auditioning and you don't know anyone and you're uncomfortable. Like, you guys have so much, like, oh, like, I wish I was just going on, like, some fluke stuff. And now it's like you have the opportunity to actually stop your video and redo it. Oh my gosh.
I know there's pros and cons, but take advantage, right?
Yeah, it's a, like, once in a lifetime type of situation. And a couple teams I've seen are, like, going back to, like, traditional. So like, this is probably the last year that they can really, like, explore different states. Like, go for it. Don't even hesitate. Even if it's you're in the NBA, you want to do NFL, you're in the NFL, you want to do the NBA, like, go for a different league. Like, this is crazy how much access we have right now.
Exactly. That's super exciting and invigorating. Like, take advantage of it. Like, absolutely take advantage of it, because it is flipping back, like you said, to more in person. And it's just a great way to explore what's out there for you. So then let's talk about your life after cheerleading. What made you decide to retire? Was it everything coming together with your business, if it's intermingled, or was it separate?
Yeah, so I actually launched my business in the middle of the season, or kind of like towards the end of the season at Dolphins. I actually was injured for a long time. I got injured in training camp, then I got re-injured in the season for Dolphins. So I had tears, two different kind of tears on my hamstring, and they were very deep.
It had to be your hamstring, huh?
They were very deep tears. I got hurt doing kick line, and much like DCC, Dolphins have a jump split kick line that they do twice in a game, and that's something that I was not used to doing. Yeah, they do it twice in a game. That's something I wasn't used to when I was on the Raiders. We did a small kick line, but we didn't do a jump split. So just the level of, like, skill was different for different things. Doesn't mean that one team was easier or harder. It was just a different style. And so my legs were just, like, done. So it was actually my injuries that made the decision. And I never publicly have said that, just because I was so sensitive to it. Like, it was something that just, like, took me a very long time to recover. I was in physical therapy the whole entire season. So that was basically the reason why. And I never really saw that coming. So back to the unexpected, but you have to trust, like, what's meant for you will be for you. And I honestly felt like at the time it was like, Sierra, you took a big leap and you're doing well, but you need to rest your body and you need to focus on your body and your mind. And at that point, I had to stop and listen. And so I could have tried to train and re-audition or join another team. It was just a moment of stillness that I needed. And it helped me focus on the business, because I did launch the business while still on Dolphins. And it helped me be able to have the time and, the mental mindset and be strong in the mind, because an injury can really discourage you as a cheerleader and a dancer, especially if it's preventing you from being on the field or being at the level where you're used to being. So I was struggling with confidence. I was struggling with questioning, my own dance ability and things like that, like things that I've never experienced before. So coming out of that was, like, almost liberating. And it was like, I'm on fire. Like, I'm going to kill this business. I'm going to kill it out here in Miami. Like, I knew I wasn't going back. I was like, I'm not going home. So what am I doing here? And I just kind of like went full throttle, and I got a really great job teaching dance at a high school down here in Miami. And I just love what I do. Like, I love being here. I love working on the swimsuits. I love being like an entrepreneur. I love having a career after.
Yeah.
And I just recently told one of my old teammates in Raiderettes, she's like, I think she's in her 5th season. I just told her, because she kind of took a hiatus off of Instagram, and then I saw her swimsuit picture pop up on the Raiderettes, and I said, you better get back on Instagram, get your butt back, because I told her, I said, I know it's your 5th year, and 5's a long time. That means it's coming to an end soon. Girls who are in cheer now, you have to start working on your brand. You have to start working on what's next while you're there, because now you're relevant. Now you're a cheerleader, and when you get out, it's almost like your life completely changes. If you don't keep something going, if you don't keep that busy momentum that you've been used to for 5 years, and you just stop, a lot of girls like lose it, or they get a little bit of depression, or they don't really know what to do in their career choice, or they get sad, and that's why they get off Instagram too. Like, a lot of girls I know that retire, they don't get on Instagram because they don't want to see it. Like, they miss it. They don't want to watch it.
Exactly.
Right. So I encourage everyone who's still on a team to like work on your craft and think about what you want to do after, and try to start doing some of that now.
That's great advice, especially if you're still auditioning and you haven't decided that you're going to retire. Sometimes that decision comes. It could be like you experienced with injury or being cut. There's so many different things that can kind of derail you, and you just don't want to feel like you just jumped off of a cliff. And all of these things that you've been speaking to, of just your mindset around a lot of that, just embracing the journey and knowing that you're where you're supposed to be, and just having faith, I think will help accept, where you are.
Yeah. It's crazy, all the changes that are going on. Like, teams are being dismantled. Like, you never know. And like, you don't want to feel distraught in the sense like you have nothing else. Like, no.
That's right.
You have yourself, you have your sister, you have your sisterhood, you still have you still can dance. Like, there's so many other dance opportunities out there. And I just really encourage all the girls to just like tap into everything that you love. Like, if you love art, if you love music, if you love poetry, try to implement that now. So like, when you're done, it's just adding value. Now we're adding more value. Now we're adding that I used to be, it's on my resume, and now I'm still this, and I'm still adding value to myself. And now I'm just even better than what I was. Like, when I was an FL cheerleader, now I'm an entrepreneur. Now I'm a businesswoman, That's
awesome. So tell us a little bit more about your swim line, like the inspiration behind the designs. Like, I just love your Instagram where you're like shooting on location in these fabulous places. It all looks so glamorous, but I know there's a lot of hard work, obviously, behind the scenes. But tell me about just all the things.
So Mohita Mami was inspired just really because, honestly, I was very insecure about certain parts of my body. And I know that as women, especially in the field that we were in, we're always being judged with our bodies. We always have to be fit. One of my teams, we had like a calendar shoot where we had to shoot in swimsuit. And for me, I have stretch marks. And I always associated stretch marks with being, big or, fat. But that's not true. Like, you can be lean, right? That's totally like not true. So growing up, that's kind of how I used to look at myself. Like, if you know me, I'm not fat, but I know I wasn't fat, but I felt that way. Like, internally, I would look at my stretch marks and be like, something's wrong with my skin. And it used to bother me. It used to bother me a lot. In a swimsuit, I was uncomfortable because it's on the side of my hips. So it comes out, it shows only when I'm in a swimsuit. If I have shorts on or pants, you can't see it. So swimwear was always my most uncomfortable wear. And I wanted to do something about it. I was like, listen, I just don't know what else to do because these marks aren't going away. Like, I tried the bio oil and this cream and that cream, and it's like, it's just there. It's going to be a part of me. You have to embrace it. So what helped me to embrace it was to slowly start wearing the swimsuits, to slowly start showing them in public, like showing my stretch marks in public and being okay with it. And the more that I did that, the more I was like, okay, I'm okay with it. Like, it's not a big deal. And the cuter the swimsuit was, it made it a little bit easier for me to feel a little more confident to take that leap.
Yeah.
So when I was finding my confidence within myself, I was truly inspired to help women do that for themselves. So that's kind of where the motivation to start the swim line came from. And just to make sure that we have options. Like, I do polls sometimes. I don't know if you've seen them. And literally what I learned from the polls is there is no style, there is no color, there is no pattern, there is nothing that will fit anyone. Every woman said different things. Like, it didn't matter if she was size 2, 12, 16. Girls are like, we like plain because plain makes you look this. We like stripes. Oh, we don't like patterns. Oh, we like this. Oh, we don't like tie up strings. Oh, well, we like when it goes above the stomach, high waist. Or, oh, we like wire. We don't like wire. It was all over the place. Like, all of the data was like all over. So it was like a scattered chart. And I just thought, like, that tells me something. Like, it tells me that you need variety. It tells me that we can't fit these swimsuits in a box because we're so different with our body types that you need just a bunch of different variety, because these girls don't even like fit in a category. Like, so it really helped me when I was starting the brand figure out that you're not going to have a niche. Like, there's not going to be one swimsuit that fits all. And that's just what it is. So I tried to make sure that all the swimsuits are different. And I know in business that what one customer may like, another may not. And this is the business that I'm in. Like, it's kind of like picking underwear. We all have like a different, like what we like with comfort, you know, like there's so many things that goes into it. So with like intimates, like lingerie, underwear, swimwear, it's the same thing. So I try to keep that in mind. And I try to offer, obviously, swimwear that makes women feel good, confident, sexy, supportive. Put your fat out if you want it. Put your stretch marks out if you want it. Cover it up if you want it. Like, whatever makes you feel good. Like, if you want to cover up, put it on. If you want to show it, take it off. Like, we don't have any rules with that. And that's the only way that we're going to be able to feel truly confident, is if we just accept where we are and just embrace it. So with Mohita Mami, I also encourage travel. So a lot of the shoots are always like, you know, encouraging for women to go out and explore the world, because it goes hand in hand. Like, with exploring the world, you learn so much about the places, the culture, the people. And then it also like humbles you a little bit. It does something to your soul. It changes your mindset and how you look at things. And I don't know anyone who doesn't feel grateful after they go somewhere and travel. So I put these locations together and these people and these models together to really promote diversity, travel, and body confidence, self-love. So all of that in a box is kind of like what I love to do. And I recently just started a travel business. So it's just like everything's coming full circle for me. So it's just like so cool. Awesome. It's so much. I'm like overwhelmed with like joy, because literally when I say like put the life together that you want, like, yes, one chapter, which is NFL, is over for me, but like all these other chapters are opening, and I still get to dance. I still get to be a part of the community. And it's great. Like, I couldn't be happier. Like, honestly, 2021 has been one of my favorite years by far.
Wow. I'm so excited and happy for you. I think it's like inspiring, you know, when you talk to people who are just in a really, really good place and they're just like exuding this inner joy, and it just reaches through you. And I love it. I think it's really mindset in terms of what you're, like you said, create the life that you want and know that you can have that. I want to say it's just that simple, but it is kind of that's where it starts, right?
It is that simple. There's going to be challenges. Like, honestly, I always thought I was going to retire a Raiderette. Like, that was my team. Like, when I say I love that team, I just felt home when I was cheering there. But it's all just embracing the new, adding value. So, you know, some of us, we have this idea of what we want to do. And like, oh, I'm going to have kids by this age. I'm going to get married. I'm going to have this job. We got to let that go. Do what you love. Create the life you want, but don't force it. Like, don't force it. Let your light kind of shine, and it's going to take you to the opportunities that was meant for you. So if you're okay with that, you just got to let go. You know, I always try to tell my students, I'm like, just let it go. It's okay. Like, let's see what happens. Like, sometimes when I'm dancing with them, I kind of tell them, even with choreography, I'm like, let's just see what our body does. And like, we'll go from there. And it makes sense. Like, plan everything out, but also be open to opportunities. And the chapter of NFL cheerleading was definitely interesting for me, but I also think it was something that I needed. And all the lessons that I learned there, I'm taking it on with me in this new endeavor. And being a businesswoman and knowing that things always aren't going to go as planned, and to be open-minded, I think that was a big lesson that I learned. Like, look how far it took me, and I had no idea. Like, I couldn't even see past showing up to an audition to support my friend. It's crazy.
And here you are. That is really, really, like I said, it's super inspiring. I love your mindset. I just am like soaking it in for myself even. It helps you stay optimistic, because I know this has been like a rough time that we've all been living through with the pandemic and different, social justice issues. And so I think, just in talking to different people, that it's easy to be in a state of despair a little bit, or just this uncertainty ends up feeling more paralyzing than like freeing, like, oh, there's so many different opportunities that can come from it. So I really appreciate hearing your story, because I think it's just going to light some fire under people to just be more open to where this life will take you, and what you really want out of it, what makes you happy. Because listening to what you're doing, your hands are in each and every one of the things that you've mentioned that actually bring you joy. And I love the way that you map that out. And I think writing, will get people so far of just kind of like writing down what you want, visualizing, whether it's vision boards or writing. I just think setting out what your heart truly desires, even if it sounds crazy or silly, just put it down, understanding, like you said, the pros and cons, not even the pros and cons, but what it is that you want and what environment will contribute and feed you in that way, I think is just such amazing advice. Dang, I love interviews, because you really don't even know. Like, I have like bullets and ideas of questions, but then you don't know the answers, and then it turns into this amazing.
You don't know where it takes you. See, you just gotta let the interview go. No, but I want to say one more thing. When it comes to writing things down, some people have a hard time because they don't know. Like, a lot of girls will have, like, I really want to make the Arizona Cardinals. I really want to make it Arizona. Okay. Why? Like, let's think about why. And then when you finally make it, because I even know a girl on my team that thinks she tried out for 13 teams before she finally made ours. When you finally make it, you have to figure out, what is the feeling that you're chasing? What are you trying to get from the team? You really want to get in these, or you really want to dance. Okay, besides dancing and getting on the team and cheering, what is the feeling? What brings you joy? And she's doing awesome. She ended up getting the girl I'm talking about, she ended up getting rookie of the year her first year after like 13 auditions. And it's crazy because she had all those no's. But when she finally starts saying, like, what is my why? And I just watched her blossom from this rookie who struggled to make a team and then made a team. You have to let go of all of what you think you want and really figure out what you really want. Like, you really want to get on a team. Why? What is the why? And behind it, like, there has to be some type of love. There has to be some type of passion. There has to be something else. And that something else is just going to build. As a woman, you're going to continue to build, and you're going to take that with you in your life. That's going to help you continue to build when you're done. Keep that with you. Keep that sacred. Don't forget that why and kind of what brought you there. And I think that's what's special about each girl on every team, is they all have something special to offer. And that's what makes each team unique. And so when you're writing down what you want, when you're writing down the things that make you happy, make sure that that's why you're there every day. Make sure that when you go to another team, you're seeking to get on these pro teams, that you have something that you're bringing to the table, that you're bringing your why with you. And that's special. That's super special. And don't kill yourself trying to make a team. Just be yourself. Like, honestly, it sounds so corny, like we always say this, but like, just be you. And I say this so much, but like, it matters. The judges can see past that. The girls, the veterans are going to see past that. If you're coming in as a rookie and you don't have a clue, they know. They see the rookies kind of like, and it's okay to still be figuring out, but make sure you have that with you. Like, when you're writing your stuff down, because I had no idea. And when I got there, I'm like, okay, like, this is what I want. And I created, like, literally, it's crazy because I did the same thing I did in California. I'm doing it here in Florida. And now I'm doing it with so much more knowledge and so many more opportunities from other people, like, across the country. Like, now I can go back to California and have that, and come to Miami and have that. So I just feel like, don't limit yourself. and
Mhm.
take the leap. Take the leap. Pack your car up if you need to.
If you need to,
Literally,
yeah.
if anyone's listening and they need advice on moving, or I have so many other girls who've done the same thing that I've done, and they've reached out to me, and we have like a little community. So if you're moving, or you're thinking about moving, or you make a team, don't feel scared to reach out to any of us. You can DM us on Instagram, and we're here for you. Like, we know what it's like. We know I had to sleep on like air mattresses and couches until I figured it out. So it will all pay off. It will all pay off.
Well, that's great that there's a community of you guys and that you're open to, kind of being a resource, because I know that when I first reached out to you, that's one of the things that I thought, like, gosh, going all the way from Oakland to Miami. I mean, that's a drastic change, and especially hearing how it happened, especially when those changes come so quickly. Any strategies as to how to do that? Because I think a lot of people might be too intimidated or scared of just all the other things that you're balancing and making that kind of a move and jump. And so do you have like, not even motivational speaking, but like being a writer, like, do you see any of that in your future? I feel like this whole interview can just be little audio clips that I would be
honestly I was thinking about a book. I was like, I need a book. Well, I do have pageant training. So I was Miss Black Sacramento Princess 2016, and then I was Miss Queen of Sacramento 2018. So I do have a little bit of training in me, but really I like to speak from the heart, and I feel like it's so much more relatable when you can be honest and real. And sometimes it's going to sound a little bit harsh, but I think people really resonate with that too, because when you can see that someone's genuine, you're a little bit more receptive to it. So I don't do public speaking. It's crazy, but I am comfortable with speaking, and I just really like to speak from my heart. And I want other women to know that about me, that just like, I truly want to see, like, women's empowerment is like literally my thing. And I truly want to see women be successful and be the best them that they can be. We all lean on each other because we all have moments where we don't feel our best. And I think it's important to be strong and be loving to each other and be kind and humble. And I try to keep that with me in all of my, areas that I'm into, all of my jobs. I try to, always have that mindset. So I don't have any quotes, but add value. Like, that's literally my newest thing. I'm just like, add value. Like, if something's not adding value to your life, it has to go 100%.
Whoa. I
100%.
really love that. That will keep you just in a very, very happy space. And like you said, protect that and be plugged into that, like your why. Like, I loved everything that you said about that, because that's what grounds you and that's what keeps you just centered and happy.
Keep that with you. I'm honestly so happy we got to do this. I feel like that's why I was like, I requested the day that I saw like that was like the most recent, because I'm like, I have to talk to her. Like, we've been trying to talk for the longest, and I'm always on the lives like, so much.
I love every time. Oh my gosh, thank you. I mean, your commentary and using your voice, and again, like your whole story, I think is very inspirational. And every time you chime in on the lives, I'm like, yes, this was meant to happen a long time ago. But we're gonna get to know you a little bit better, if that's okay with you. I know we have a couple more minutes, so can we drop it like it's hot real quick and ask some lightning round questions?
Okay, yes, we have.
Yes. I'm gonna probably freestyle a little bit too, just because I feel inspired. You ready?
Mm-hmm.
Everybody's obsessed with your hair. What's your favorite styling product?
Oh, that's so hard. Okay, like, honestly, it's not even just like one thing. I have to be honest. Okay. Your hair, it will get used to stuff. So you gotta kind of always be open to switch it up and then come back to your favorite. I would definitely say the Mael line is a new one for me, and I love it. The Mixed Chick has always been my thing. I would say the Garnier Fructiques line is like super cheap, but like stiller. Like, you have to have that. And I recently stopped using edge control. I know it sounds crazy, but to be honest with you guys, edge control has so much oil and just so many like harsh oils mixed together. Like, if you look at the ingredients, there's so many oils. And when you're on the field and when you're dancing, all of that oil is kind of going on your face. So if you have any type of acne, or you just like don't want to clog your pores, I would recommend more of a gel, like an eco gel, or more of a gel for your edges. So I want to say for my edges, ladies that loves the natural hair edges, like be careful with dancing and having too much edge control because it has high oil. So pay attention to those. But yeah, I would definitely say the Maelle, the Mix Chicks, and the Garnier Fructiques. Like everyone's like, your hair, like when I walk by, like your hair, when I'm dancing, doing hair, your hair smells so good. It's
Garnier, like, isn't it?
Everyone is like, what? And it's not the best in ingredients, but for how the price is, it will do the job. For hair care, like quality, like to care for your hair, I would say Olaplex. Like you have to get the Olaplex shampoo and conditioner. I do have blonde highlights somewhere in there. And for like taking like care of your hair, I would definitely say do your Olaplex treatments in between, and then use your like cheaper shampoos if you're just, a quick style. So that's my tips. And then wrap your hair to keep from having to reapply so much, to save, product and save time. Because if you're not wrapping your hair, you're going to have to keep reapplying every day, and then you'll have product buildup. So you'll have to use more product. You have to wash your hair more. You might have more stuff on your face. But I go to Radically Curly, and they're in Vegas, and I fly and I pay the money to go twice a year. And she does the treatment, the color, and then I try to take care and maintain throughout the visit. So those are my go-to girls, my go-to products.
Okay. I had to ask because your hair is just stunning, and I'm all for like traveling for hair care or just the quality, the things, and like you said,
your hair that make you happy. You got to do it.
Yeah. Yes, and you have to keep one step ahead of your hair because, like you said, it gets comfortable, and then your favorite things will stop working. You're like, what's going on?
Moving here to Miami, it was a different climate, and that was an adjustment. Yes, the humidity would be like crazy. So like trying to figure out my hair here was different from, California. So definitely that was like a big thing for me here.
I'm glad I asked that. I got some products, and I'm sure people will appreciate hearing about what they can try. Okay, what was your favorite dance experience or performance while you were on a team?
Hands down, Super Bowl with Miami Dolphins. We got to dance in the Super Bowl as field dancers for Shakira. It was insane. Like when I say I couldn't believe, like I was having like moments where I would just be like, is this real? Like, am I really about to do a Super Bowl performance? Like it was crazy.
Was that the whole team that got to do it, or just like select people? Did you audition? Like
you audition. Okay, so it kind of started off like, hey, this is an opportunity. They're coming to town, whatever. And then whoever's available, and you had to be available for 3 weeks for 8-hour rehearsals. So it was like a really big commitment. And a lot of girls have jobs where they just can't be available for that long. I actually ended up getting in trouble with my job. And I don't even care because I'm not there anymore. And that's the thing. Like, you just got to do what's best for you. So it's like, she was very upset. Like, my boss was very, very upset at all the time off that I requested for that. But like I told her, I said, this is a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity, once-in-a-lifetime experience. And if you feel like that, you need to take measures for me requesting so much time off, then I'm okay with that. And I took the time off. So
Good for you. I love it.
I took it and I did it. And she was so proud after, and it's funny, but like during, she was giving me a hard time. But the girls who were available kind of signed up for an audition. So that's kind of how it works. So not the whole team went, and then you auditioned. And when you auditioned, everyone from the community was like there, open audition kind of like. So there were other dance teams from the Miami area, and there were just individual girls just coming into audition. So the choreographers kind of picked, and then you would audition for your spot, like where you were standing as well. So it was like intense. Yeah.
Oh my gosh.
There were a handful of people that did it. There were a good amount of girls. I don't know the actual number, but like anywhere between like 10 and 15 of us that actually did it.
Once in a lifetime, totally memorable up there.
And that was right before COVID hit. So it was like, I just felt like it happened in February, then COVID was March. So it was like we did the last big performance. So it was just crazy. Yeah, that hands down my best. Second, I would say second best was when Raiderettes got to dance with, I forget her name. I really forgot her name. But some artist that's like, I think she's like a UK artist. We got to dance in London with her, and I was not really familiar with her at the time either, but it was a cool performance because she was an artist, and we had like big stage fireworks in London, and it's London. Like, how could you not love dancing in London? So those are my two favorites for sure.
Oh my gosh. Well, two amazing things. Super Bowl performance. Cheering in a Super Bowl is one thing. Performing in a Super Bowl halftime show with someone as legendary. I mean,
yeah,
come on.
I didn't get to cheer, and I was like, oh, the 49ers get to cheer. But it was great. It was great. We got to meet the girls from both teams actually, and take a picture. And we had appearances with them throughout the week. So it was great. Like, it was, even though we weren't like in the Super Bowl, we still got to experience so many things. And we didn't get to cheer, but we got to dance, and we got to actually do so many appearances with the cheer teams for the two Super Bowl teams. And that was great. That was fun. I had a great time.
That's awesome. Hosting the Super Bowl has to bring its perks for the local cheerleaders, whether they're in the game or not. So cool. Okay. Let's see. Who is your favorite musical performer that dances? Beyonce, hands down.
Beyonce. And Homecoming, like, I could watch Homecoming any night of the week. Like, the Homecoming performance, just everything it embodied, it represented, like, with Black culture, with the HBCU colleges that she used, the dancers, the quality of the work, that every detail that she just put in that body of work. I'm just amazed with that. And I just respect her artistry so much. She's really, truly a performer. Like, she's everything.
Yeah. Yes. Yes. Okay. Let's see. Which actress would play you in your biopic?
Oh, that's a hard one. I don't know. I never thought about that. I literally don't know.
If it
I
comes
know
back
who I would want to be. Like, if I was an actress, like, who I
okay.
well, answer that one. I want to be like a Taraji. Like, I love her.
Yes.
I love
her. Watched them. I love her too. I just watched the Mary J. Blige special on Amazon last night, and there's just something about her. She was speaking just about how Mary touched her with her music and everything, but there's something about Taraji that just pulls you in. Period.
I know. She's just awesome, and she's just so spicy, and like, I don't know, I just love her.
Yes. Okay. Favorite pizza topping?
Artichokes. That sounds crazy. Love it. Love. It's like exotic. I don't know. Like, if you have an artichoke on your pizza, I feel like you're kind of bougie. Like, I don't know.
So what else is on that pizza with artichokes?
Like, they put like olives and like maybe some peppers. Like, I don't really
eat a veggie one that's
I don't really eat, so I'm definitely a veggie pizza girl. Okay,
that makes sense. On the scale of 1 to 10, how good of a driver are you?
10. Okay. 10 for sure. I've got into a few accidents, but they were never my fault, so 10.
10. Okay. Favorite childhood TV show?
I would say like Cheetah Girls. I mean, that's a movie, but like That's So Raven, Cheetah Girls, Mary-Kate and Ashley. That was my thing.
Okay. Let's see. Some of these you've answered just from our awesome conversation, but just a couple more. I'm gonna have to ask this one. If you were, because you're such a positive person that would never get arrested, but if you were arrested with no explanation, what would your friends and family assume you had done?
Oh my gosh. Probably like try to sneak into another country or something, like I don't know.
So like crossing a border?
Yeah, like trying to go somewhere. Like, Sierra's out of here. She probably try to like then have to come and get me from a jail somewhere in like Portugal or somewhere. I don't know.
I would be like a holdover person that should have left the country but loved someplace so much that just decided to stay and then get caught and deported or something crazy like that.
Right. Yeah.
No, I could totally relate. Okay, last one, because we've talked so much about different issues over Instagram land, but what, if anything, would you change about the pro cheerleading industry?
You know what? There's so much, but I would say the biggest thing that I would change right now that I think would be the best with like beneficial is some type of unity between like all of the teams, like some standard. I know we talk about that a lot with unionizing, but holding all of the teams to certain standards so that we can have an overall like standard, like how the football play, like the organization and the unions for the players, like there's a standard for them that protects them. And I really think we need that as cheerleaders. And if you had that, then you can kind of take care of those little things and go down the list. But like half the time we never even talk to other cheer teams to see what's going on. So just having some kind of standard for all of us together, so that way the girls can communicate and find out what the needs even are. And I'm so happy with all these different platforms going on right now to give them an opportunity to do that, and know that, you know, a lot of us are going through the same things and we're all kind of in it together, and it will create a bigger community as well.
Well, you know, I agree completely and wholeheartedly, but there's so many benefits that can come from it in a very, very beautiful way, because you, like you said, we're all connected, and whatever the highest standard is in the league, if other teams can elevate to match that, so it's just the ultimate experience for everybody. I think it's really could be a very beautiful thing that could happen in our world. So, well, I appreciate that question. I appreciate you, Sierra. Seriously, thank you so much. It's been so fun, and I'm so glad it popped up as quickly as it did on the calendar. All I need is an episode title, but I swear it's going to be like some let go kind of vibes, you know, let it flow.
Right.
Like
and it almost gives you a little bit of hope too, just with like everything going on. It's like so many changes. When the article came out, and I just, honestly, I felt so liberated when the article came out, because it was just like, yes. And I put my name. Like, I'm not in it. Like, it just felt so good. And like, now I just have so much more hope. And I really hope that the article and our cheer community, and just with everything going on right now, that it encourages more women, especially the women who are still on the teams, to really do the same thing. And I hope we stepped up. Like, I'm really honestly so proud of all of the girls who were part of the article, especially Candace for being the face. I'm so proud of everyone for coming together. And we didn't even know that we were all doing it, but to see how many girls, it's even you, like, it's so crazy. And I'm just so proud of us. Like, we deserve that moment, because we've been holding on to a lot of feelings for so long and communicating with each other on the low. So just to have it public on such a huge platform, it's just amazing. Like, honestly, I just hope it continues, the conversation continues, and more girls, like I said, even the younger girls who are like, I know we talk about it, like 18, 19 coming in, they see what we're doing and they're looking up to us. And I think we're doing a great job as former, as current, as leaders in the pro dance world. I feel like we're doing such a great job. So I just want to say thank you, all the girls, and thank you to you for doing your awesome work that you do and keeping this community open and full of love. We appreciate it. We do.
Oh, thank you so much. I'm second all of that. Like, I was so pumped, like you said, just seeing everybody that ended up being a part of it, and just that courage and that strength to speak your mind and have your thoughts and opinions out there. I think it speaks volumes, and I was so proud of everybody, and I hope it touches so many people, and I'm glad that everybody gets a chance to get to know you a little bit more. And if you have not learned something or felt something from this episode, I don't know what's wrong with you. So many gems. So thank you so much for sharing your story.
Thank you. This is so fun.
I'm so glad. Well, thanks for taking the time to do this.
Thank you so much.
Take care.
Thanks so much for listening to the Pro Cheerleading Podcast. You can follow your favorite podcast on social media at Pro Cheerleading Podcast on Instagram, at Pro Cheer Podcast on Twitter. We're on Facebook, on YouTube, and you can support your favorite podcast on Patreon. Until next time, keep your eyes on the sidelines.